Am I an emotional fool for allowing my estranged father to move in with me? I, 31-year-old male, am an engineer working at a multinational company and live alone in New York. I am a self-made man and not obligated to anyone, not even my parents. My mother passed away when I was 12, and I lived with my father, Robert, 64-year-old male, during my teenage years. Despite having resources, he didn't help me when I was struggling in college, the toughest time of my life. Now, I am well off, and my father is retired, his health is failing, and he is in need of financial support. Last week, he reached out to me and asked me to take him in, help him financially, and take care of him. Seeing him reminded me of the pain I went through, and I told him that I am not responsible for looking after him. However, later on, I had to let him move in with me. Background: my father was a merciless man. He did what he wanted and never cared about others, not even his family. When I was in college, my financial situation was not good, and I was even unable to pay my tuition fee. At that time, my father was earning enough that he could support me easily, but when I asked him for help, he refused, giving the reason that he had tough love for me and that hardship would shape me into a better person. I said that if you don't want to help me, at least lend me some money so that I could focus on studying, and promised that I would return his money just after my graduation. But he said, no, you would have to manage things on your own. My father believed that challenges would shape me into a better person, but I was nearly breaking. I did many part-time jobs, borrowed from friends, and above all, skimped on many meals. My dream of becoming an engineer seemed to be fading away, but I didn't give up. My father knew how difficult it was for me to manage things, but he didn't help me. Instead, he kept on watching from the sidelines. I persevered through the challenges, and after a tough journey, my efforts finally paid off. I was admitted to a top-notch university, Fordham, for my master's degree on a Fulbright scholarship. It covered all my tuition fees and offered me a handsome amount as a stipend. I was very happy after winning the scholarship, but I didn't tell my father about it. Instead, I told him that I was moving to New York to join a company for an internship, and that the internship would open the door to many opportunities for me. I didn't because I wanted to surprise him, but when I told him about the internship, he said, "Internship? Free work? You deserve it." His response hurt me and cut me deep. That was when I realized that his tough love was just a way to avoid helping me. Disappointed, I left for New York without informing my father and seeing him, and embarked on my new journey, alone but excited. Fast forward to today, I have a stable job, a cozy apartment, and a somewhat luxurious lifestyle, while my father is retired and all his sources of income have dried up. He lost most of his savings in gambling and other activities. Last week, my father reached out to me. His health was failing, and he wanted to move in with me. He also needed financial support. When he asked to move in with me, I refused and asked him to leave my place and not come here again. I sarcastically told him that I had tough love for him, so he should face the merciless world alone, as it would make him a better person. He left my apartment red-faced without arguing or saying anything to me. After my father left, I became absorbed in my routine, but at night, when I went to bed, a feeling of guilt gripped me. My inner self started cursing me and telling me that what I did was wrong. Even though he didn't help me when I needed him most, he was still my father, with whom I had an eternal relationship. Above all, he was old, sick, and needed help, and I realized that I was doing to him what he did to me a decade ago. These thoughts continued to echo in my mind for hours, and after pondering on it thoughtfully, I decided to take him in and help him with what he needed. In the morning, I called my father and requested him to shift with me. Initially, he seemed to be hesitant, but when I insisted, he agreed and moved in with me. When I met him, I saw his eyes held regret, and later on he accepted that he was wrong and said he wished he had been there for me. As I listened to him, a flood of memories from my past came rushing back, reminded me that he was the same person who brought me up from an infant to a young boy and paid for my school. I even remembered the day when I had love for him. However, after my boyhood, he deserted me, perhaps to make me stronger, but it was his mistake and a wrong choice. Whatever, I forgave him. When I let him move in with me, my father was not the same person who turned his back on me. He was vulnerable, weak, seeking help and financial support. He apologized many times, and I also realized forgiveness wasn't weakness. I decided to give him a chance, not out of obligation, but because I want to heal the long-fractured bond. I have decided to navigate the next portion of time together, father and son, flawed but willing. However, When I shared my story with my friends, they said that I was an emotional fool and that my father had come to me to live off my money. They said that my father is not the problem. The real issue is that I am an emotional fool, and because of this tendency, I might make some blunders in my life. I know my father was wrong in the past, but now he is not. But I am confused whether I am really an emotional fool. So, do you think that I am an emotional fool? And is my decision to let my father move in with me wrong or right?